Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, and in today's video, we're going to go over the top 5 and the bottom 5 purchases of 2022. I think it was in my inventory video where I mentioned that I brought in about 115 items last year, and that included makeup, tools, hair care, skincare, and perfumes. So I did scour that entire list and I came up with the top 5 purchases. These are purchases that I would recommend to anybody. And then I have my bottom 5 where some of them work, but it's not anything I would repurchase and not anything I would recommend to a friend. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start with my bottom 5. I want to end on a high note, so we will go over my top purchases at the very end. So the very first one, most of these I've actually decluttered from my collection, so I don't have them to hold up for you, but I will post pictures up and I'll have them linked down below, even though of course these are not things that I would recommend anybody purchase. But the first one was the Sephora gel eyeliner in the pink color. I was actually trying to get a less expensive dupe to the Urban Decay pencil in Wild Side. So I was trying to find that other perfect pink that would satisfy that like pink glittery kind of shade. And Sephora released these new mechanical gel pencils last year. So I did pick up the pink one, and I think they're $13. Again, I'll have all the information listed down below. But this pencil broke the first or second time that I used it. It just snapped. It was completely dry, and this has kind of made me not trust mechanical eye pencils, especially if they're ones that wind all the way up and all the way down, because I feel like the I don't want to say the moisture, but like the creaminess of the product is not protected. So that one I used maybe 1 or 2 times, and every time I used it, it was so dry that it just broke off on me. So that one I did end up decluttering and throwing away. Speaking of eye pencils, apparently I had a really hard time with eye pencils, and this is one that I actually still have in my collection, and so I will be decluttering it after this video. But that is the ColourPop eyeliner in Joyride. So I ended up purchasing this in a bundle, and it was on sale. So the other shade in there was actually like a rose gold metallic, and I still have that one. It is creamy as can be. It is amazing. But I've been burned one too many times with the matte shades of the ColourPop liners. So these are mechanical liners, so you wind them up. But this shade, it just, every time I use it, let me see, it is so dry. I mean, it's pigmented, but it's so dry. And I feel like, oh, it actually broke. Just using it, it just broke. So I think I need to not trust ColourPop matte pencils anymore. And in comparison, this came into my collection because it did come in a duo set, but I actually already had a similar color in Urban Decay's Alkaline. And just to show a difference, this pencil, I think I purchased it in 2021, maybe 2020. So this pencil is quite a few years old. And in comparison, it is so creamy and the color payoff is amazing. So I think that while I try to keep finding less expensive dupes for the Urban Decay pencil formula, I'm just going to go with these from now on, for colored pencils at least. I'm not a big fan of their black, and I like the Clinique one better, but for their colored pencils, these are the ones I'm going to purchase time and time again. So unfortunately, this shade here in the ColourPop matte pencil, I am going to be decluttering today. Let's stick with the ColourPop train, and I'm actually going to talk about a ColourPop single. So I have the It's My Pleasure palette. And this has the ColourPop shade in Earth Shine. And this shade is absolutely beautiful. And I wanted this in another single palette that I have, but I didn't want to break apart this palette, so I ended up purchasing a single of Earth Shine. So for whatever reason, the single that came, which this is a ColourPop. These are all ColourPop shades. This is my perfect purple palette. But this shade in the middle is Earthshine. So this shade here is supposed to be an exact same formula, same shade as what's in My Pleasure, but it's not. This is so dry and flaky, and let me see if I can get comparison swatches. So I just ran my finger in this, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell in camera, but it is so flaky and dry on my finger. And then let me try to get a swatch. So this is the one from the single shade, and now I'm going to go into the palette. Just the difference. I hope you can tell the difference in those two shades. How the one from in the It's My Pleasure palette just has so much more shine and dimension, and this one here just looks chalky and dry. And even swatching them together, so we have palette and single. I mean, look how patchy and dry that is compared to this beautiful shade that came out of the palette. So if you are looking for a replacement for Earthshine or something, if you have this palette and you're like, oh my God, I need that shade in other single palettes, or I need that shade because I've hit pan or used it up, the single is not going to live up to it. And while ColourPop singles are relatively inexpensive, and again, you're not going to go broke kind of buying a single, I'm just so disappointed. It doesn't look good on the eyes. It flakes all over the place. And I really wish that ColourPop was able to hit the formula from inside the palette where we all came to know and love that shade. I wish they would have been able to hit the mark on the single, but they didn't. The next two things I don't have in my collection anymore, but again, I'll pop up some pictures. So there is the $2 or $3 e.l.f. Clear Brow Gel. So it comes, like, it's dual-ended, and it comes with the brow gel side and like a clear mascara side, but I used both sides in my brows. I do have thicker eyebrows, which I've been seeing back when I'm editing. It might look like I completely have messed up on my brow, but that's actually a scar. I have a very big scar through my entire eyebrow, so I never can really fill it in all the way. So if you ever see that kind of like void place in my brow, it's because I fell and hit my head whenever I was a child. But I need to keep my brows in place. My brows have a tendency of just going all over the place. So I was looking for a drugstore option to my favorites, which are the Benefit Brow Setter and the ABH Clear Brow Gel. Both of those set my brows in place. They do not move. But this one, even though it was $2, I don't even feel like it was worth $2. I think that, you know, getting a regular big bottle of like a $4 hair gel and using that would have been the equivalent, but you're paying for the component and you're actually putting more plastic trash into a landfill by using it. So while it might work for some people and it might be good in a pinch and it might be good for people that are not wearing any makeup but just want to tame their brows just the slightest bit, but for me, the way that I like to do my makeup, the way that I need my brows to set down, even at a $2 or $3 price mark, that would not be worth me repurchasing. And the last item is actually a little bit of a cautionary tale, and that is the NYX This Is Juice, the Strawberry Flex shade of their gloss. And that caused such a painful reaction on my lips. Now, I will say I do have some food allergies. So I've seen a lot of people love the This Is Juice gloss, and I've not tried any other of the flavors to see if they would cause a reaction. I'm not going to waste my money on a product that has caused a reaction. But since I do have some food allergies, I'm not sure if there's a particular type of extract in the product to cause me to have the reaction. But I used the gloss maybe 10, 15 times, and it caused almost like a chemical burn and just rough, scaly, chapped, painful ring around my lips. And I immediately stopped using it. I know that sometimes people can be, you know, allergic to or reactive to certain ingredients and products. So I basically stopped using it. I started using Aquaphor to just put all over my lips, and within a week, my lips were back to normal. But just the fact that I've never had a reaction to products before on my lips, and especially since I do use certain like lip plumpers and even like the Buxom formula, there was Milani's formula, there was even Too Faced lip injections. Like none of those caused that type of reaction. But apparently there was some sort of chemical or some sort of extract in that particular gloss that caused me to have a pretty painful reaction. So those were my 5 products that were at my bottom 5. Those are things that I would not recommend to anybody, that I would not purchase again. Even partly, I would not repurchase from any part of that line. And so now let's go on to my top 5. And this is where I'll get a little bit passionate about these products. So one of the first purchases that I made in 2022 was brushes. And this was something, there was a Boxing Day sale or something like that. So I ended up not purchasing these for full price, but I absolutely love them. So to give a little bit of context, I do enjoy natural hair brushes. I just feel like they have a better blend. Anytime that I use a synthetic brush, I feel like the product just sticks where I put it and it doesn't blend out. So I do prefer a natural hair brush. And so a lot of these products do have natural hairs in them, but I think that there are brushes in the line that are also synthetic, but I do enjoy the natural hair brushes. But I ended up picking up, let me grab them from over here. I picked up 4 brushes from Nakia Joy Cosmetics. So I have loved her powders, and when she came out with brushes, I was very, very interested. So I ended up getting 2 of the larger blending brushes and 2 smaller blending brushes. So this here is the E2 diffused blend, so it's a little bit of a bigger brush. This one here is the E3, so this is the diffused crease. This one here is the E05, which is the firm blending. So a little bit of a taper on that one. And then this one here, which I actually used today, so it might look a little bit dirty. But this one is the E6. This is the precision blend. So this is what I actually used to kind of blend out my outer corner there. But these have washed really well. Like there's no staining on these at all. I would purchase more brushes from her line, but right now I kind of have enough brushes in my collection. I've kind of like honed in on the brushes that I like. So if you guys would like to see like my favorite brushes, let me know down below, and I'll do a short or I'll do a video on what some of my favorite brushes are. But I love these. I would purchase more. If I have some of my other brushes that end up kind of dying or they fall apart, then I would repurchase them with these brushes. And I absolutely love the quality, how they wash, they don't shed, nothing like that. My only critique, they have a little bit of a soft touch handle to them, which makes them kind of attract other makeup. So if I have other products on my hands, then they're going to be, they're going to stick to these brushes a little bit more than some of my cheaper brushes. But all I have to do is I basically take like an alcohol prep pad wipe and I wipe them down, and then they're perfectly clean and ready to go again. But that would be my only critique, is that they do attract a little bit more like grime and makeup residue to the handles. Let me go to fragrance, and then the other 3 are eyeshadow palettes. So I'm cheating a little bit because these are actually 2 different fragrances, but I do layer them, and that's what I think is special about them. So the 2 fragrances that I bought last year that I loved together is the Billie Eilish #1, or this is the original, and then the Burberry Her Elixir. So I originally had wanted the original Burberry Her perfume, And I do love the scent of it, but last year they came out with this variety, which is the Elixir. So this is a little bit more fruity. This has notes of vanilla. And so I went in store and I smelled it. I loved it. So I ended up picking this up. Actually, I think it was like 3 to 5 times the points on Ulta whenever I picked this up. So it was actually a good deal for me. But this is a very strong perfume. It'll last all day. You'll smell it on yourself all day long. And while I do love the scent, it was a little bit too punchy for me. So when I smelled this one, and I ended up purchasing this one first, again, I think it was like 3 to 5 times the points on this one also. This one is very vanilla based. And so when I combine these two fragrances together, the vanilla in this kind of tones down this a little bit, and it is the perfect blend. I love wearing these two together. I love walking back into my closet after I've sprayed these and like just smell them together. I love when I take off a sweater and then I put it back on and it smells like these. This right here is the perfect combination. I haven't seen the Billie Eilish #2 in store yet to smell it, but because I do love just the fragrance of this so much, I do want to smell #2 to see if that would be something I want to bring into my collection. But so far, I am loving these two, and I'm not sure if I would repurchase them to continue for this to be kind of like a signature scent for me, but this is definitely something that I will enjoy using up together. So like I said, the next 3 are eyeshadow palettes, and I love eyeshadow palettes. When I'm thinking about my budget for this year, I keep thinking, what am I going to kind of save some of my budget for to bring in palettes? Because other workhorse products, complexion products, I feel like I have everything kind of set for what I need, but I love experimenting with new eyeshadows. So the 3 that I feel were my best purchases of last year are Metropolis by Natasha Denona. I am so pleased that she restocked this. I think it's out of stock again. I'm not sure if she's going to be doing a restock. I'll have it linked down below in case for whatever reason it does restock. But this color story just calls to me. Apart from the blues, which I'm trying to embrace a little bit of like a blue pop from time to time, but these browns and golds and greens and warm colors, this is just beautiful to me. The quality is amazing. Again, I love that I can pop these out if I want to. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I want to disassemble my Natasha Denona palettes and create new things. I would possibly create little quads if I wanted to kind of pull some of these out and pull some of my favorite colors. This is definitely one that I would want to do like a no pan left behind, because I have not used every shade in this palette yet, but I absolutely love this. I am so glad that I chose to pick this up when it was restocked, and I am so pleased with this purchase. The other one is the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. And this is also kind of my dream palette. I absolutely love this color story. It is so much up my alley. I love the decisions that she made with the shimmers. I love that while a lot of the mattes don't go too dark, we do have that black over here that you could deepen up anything with. I love the outside packaging, how she decided to do this matte instead of the shiny that she's done on the rest of the packaging. I just feel like she did such an amazing job with this. And as soon as I saw this sneaked on Instagram, I knew that I would be picking this up. I did end up getting this on a deal, I think 15–20% off at Sephora. So at least I waited for a little bit of a sale, but I am so pleased with this purchase. And then the last thing that I am just blown away by, and I am so happy that I brought this into my collection this year, is my custom palette with Lethal. So this was something that I built on the Build Your Own palette. I believe I did start off with the base palette of their newest green palette that they launched. I'll link it down below. And I'll link the, I believe that I can link to exactly this palette online, and I'll have the shades listed down below also. But I started with a base palette, and again, it was like greens and these purples and stuff, but I think they had a little bit of like blue in there, which again, I'm not a big blue fan. So I took out the blues, I put in some other shades that were more up my alley, and this was the palette that I created. I am so blown away by Lethal's formula. The mattes, well, I wouldn't describe their mattes as creamy. They are blendable. And I think that that is more important when it comes to shades that are extremely pigmented, is that they're blendable. And the shimmers, I mean, these are creamy. Like you put your finger in these and it just feels like your fingers are sinking into the pigment. They are absolutely beautiful. And I just, let me pick this one up on my thumb. I mean, look at that pigment. It kind of looks like what's on my eyes today, but I have a ColourPop palette on my eyes. But these are absolutely creamy and beautiful. And let me see if I can get my thumb to swatch. Absolutely beautiful. My goodness, look at the shine coming off of those. So I already have 2 Lethal palettes in my collection, and I do have one more saved on their palette builder to go ahead and purchase for this year. And again, I want to try out some other indie brands and see the quality that they can bring into my collection. But I am so pleased not only with the way that Lethal allows you to see what your palette is going to look like before you purchase it, but their shipping, so I'm in the US, this is a German company, their shipping is very fast for coming from overseas. Their tracking was amazing. I always knew where my package was every step of the way. And I am so pleased with my experience with ordering from Lethal. And so I cannot recommend them highly enough. So that was my top 5 and bottom 5 purchases from 2022. I hope that you enjoyed, and that if you're considering picking up any of these products, hopefully my insight has helped a little bit on making some decisions. If you would like to see more content from me, make sure to subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, tell me what your top 5 and bottom 5 were, just again to save me some money so I don't go out and purchase products that maybe are not that good. I thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.